What's going on, guys? Seancutshair back with another video. And guys, I just posted this photo on Instagram asking if I should do a tutorial on customizing the Skeleton FX, and you guys went crazy. So we got our Graphite FX. We're gonna take it apart, paint it. I'm gonna show you guys the whole process from start to finish so you guys can do them yourself. But let's get right to it. All right, guys, so we got our Graphite FX right here. I'm gonna show you guys how to take it apart. Just a tip for you guys, record yourself taking it apart so you can watch that back and you'll know how to put it back together. We're gonna start off by taking the blade off, which is just these two screws, and the whole blade will pop off. Then you'll flip it over and the two screws on the bottom come out, and that's gonna release that bottom ring, and you'll see what that does as soon as they come out. Okay, so now that that's off, we'll be allowed to pull this sleeve off. So it's a little bit tight, but you guys grab a hold of it and pull it off. And that's one part that we're gonna paint. Then there's two screws on the top and two screws up under the blade. So we'll take those off and it will separate the two pieces of the trimmer. And guys, very important not to lose any of these screws. You're gonna see later I'm gonna throw them all in a solo cup so I have them to hang on to. But you know, any of these screws missing could really jeopardize the integrity of this clipper. So be careful taking stuff apart. You're gonna see here in a second that two screws are gonna drop out. You see we took those four off. Now we can get the cover off. The switch on the front is screwed into this white plastic piece on the back that I'm pointing at. You guys take that screw off. The plastic slider underneath will come off, and then you'll have the switch on top separate so you can paint it. So you guys put all those pieces to the side. There you can see the front switch is off. Now we'll move on to the back piece. You guys see the motor will lift just right out of there. You see these two pieces that just fell out. I'm gonna point to where they go, and when we put them back together, I'll show you. But multiple times I forgot and dropped those. So be real careful with those, make sure you don't lose them. That's what your blade is gonna screw into. So like I said, I'm just gonna throw them all in a solo cup. Whatever you guys have, just keep track of them. Make sure you have all the pieces so when we go put it back together, you know, we're not missing anything. So you guys can see all the parts here. Got them all ready, taken apart, and now we're gonna sand them. So guys, we're gonna sand them with 400 grit sandpaper, a little bit of water. I'm gonna put a little bit of Dawn soap on the sandpaper, and what that's gonna do is while we're sanding, it's gonna clean the material. We don't want any oil or cool care or any residue left on it when we go to paint it. So if you guys have any questions about the sanding process, please head back to my other custom clipper cover video, and I'll go a little more in depth. But for this video, we're gonna keep it more focused on the trimmer itself and putting it back together. But like I said, if you guys have any questions about the painting process, there is another video that's much more in depth. You guys see I'm using a Scotch-Brite there. Some of the areas that are a little, you know, kind of up in there on the trimmer, I'm gonna use a Scotch-Brite to get up in there better than the sandpaper can. So everything's sanded. I'm showing you guys right now. The piece of the clipper that's underneath that handle, we're not gonna need to paint. So I didn't sand that. We're just gonna tape it off, and we're actually gonna use that to secure this. If you guys see, I made these little triangles out of cardboard. That's gonna make sure I can lift the trimmer up so I can paint underneath it, and I'm just gonna cover the handle with tape while securing it to the cardboard. So we won't paint anything that's underneath that handle. The textured grip part, we'll just tape that to our little triangles that we made, and you guys use whatever you need, but you wanna prop those up so that you can get up underneath and make sure you have all the edges. So we're just taping off that part that we're not gonna paint. And like I said, we'll secure that to the cardboard, and that will give us a nice you know, setup to where we can get up underneath it and paint every edge and make sure we don't have any missed spots. So those are secured to the cardboard, and now we have the other pieces. The main center ring here, I took a piece of cardboard, rolled it into a tube, and I will tape that to the inside of this housing right here. And again, that's just so I can get to the bottom of the housing and make sure I don't miss any paint. So I'm just gonna stick that in there, secure it with some tape, and then you'll see we'll fold some tape over on itself so that we can secure that even better. Okay, so now that that's ready, we'll take some tape, fold it on itself, and stick it to this platform. That way I can stick this upright and I'll be able to paint all the sides and the underneath. We'll do the same thing for the other pieces. We'll take this box, we're gonna fold some tape over on itself and stick the switch and the other small pieces so that they have something to stick to. These little light plastic pieces, guys, if you just go spray painting and they're just sitting on a box, they're gonna blow off, they're gonna get hair and dirt stuck to them. So you guys just press them down in there, and you guys will see here in a second, they're held just secure enough for me to paint them, and they're also lifted up off the surface. Alright, so moving on to paint. Guys, this is Walmart, just regular Rustoleum paint. And I want you guys to understand, the paint is not as important as the prep. So as long as you prep it good, you really can use any paint that you want, and as long as that surface is prepped and there's something for it to stick to, you guys will be fine. So here's some options for clear. You have matte clear, which won't be shiny, semi-gloss, high gloss. You guys can do glitter or sparkle clear, but what we're looking for is a kind of a battleship gray. My guy Cuts by Coast, this is his trimmer, and that's what he's looking for. So that granite's a little bit light, and I think this dark gray right here is going to be what we go for. So kind of want that battleship look, this dark gray, and then we're going to add some black accents. So you guys can see we got the dark gray gloss. We're going to use a flat black primer for our black, and then we're going to do it with the gloss clear. The one I just did and the one I showed you in the beginning, guys, is a matte clear. That's how I like it, but this is going to be gloss. So we're going to go in, hold the can about a foot and a half away from the trimmer, and we're just going to do a first light coat. We'll do 2 more coats of the color, and then we'll move on to the splatters and the clear coat. Alright, so we did the gray. Now we'll do the black on the accent pieces. So I'm going to shake it up, go over here, and we will paint the other pieces black. Alright guys, so we're going to do 2 more coats before we move on. I'm just going to show you this one, but I will do a third to make sure I have plenty of base coat down before we move on to the splatters. Alright guys, so now for the splatters. If you want to use the color that you're already using and it's in a spray can, you just need to spray it into a cup. You're going to tilt it into the cup and just spray until it pulls up in the bottom. I don't have any gloves here, so I'm using a plastic bag, but this spray paint, if it gets on your skin, it's on there for a while. So I just put my hand in the bag so I don't get spray all over my hand, and then we'll take a toothbrush, dip it into the wet paint, and we'll just fling it all over the clipper until we're happy with it. Alright, we're going to spray 3 coats of clear coat, get a nice smooth coat on top to protect it and hold that finish on. So I'm going to show you guys 1 coat, but I'm going to actually do 3, then we'll let it dry and we'll get back together tomorrow to put it back together. We're going to start to reassemble the clipper and show you guys all the parts. So we got the 4 screws that are matching. The small screw is going to be used for the switch. The 2 long screws will go into the bottom ring, and you should have 2 nuts and a clear piece left. Then of course the 2 halves of the clipper, the bottom ring, the cylinder, and the switch. Alright, so we'll start with the switch, and we need the white piece that connects to it. You guys will set the switch in the top, make sure it can wiggle back and forth. And then you'll put this piece in, and the piece at the bottom that's going to go to the power switch on the motor needs to be facing towards you, and then the small stubby screw will go in the hole. When you guys tighten this, you don't want to over tighten it. What that's going to do is pull the switch too tight on the metal and it won't slide very well. So just get the screw in. It can't really come out once the motor's together, so don't tighten it too much. Make sure you can still move that up and down. If you guys see the Babyliss plate on the front, I just snap that back in. It's just going to snap right in. The two nuts you need to be real careful with. They're just gonna drop in and they'll sit flat, just like you can see here. These are the ones I said, guys, if you're not paying attention, you'll drop them out. They literally just sit there, but the motor will hold them in place when you put it in. The clear piece that I didn't mention when we took it apart is gonna sit in this groove at the top, with the extra piece that goes down the side is gonna tuck into the right side of that hole. Then you're just gonna place the front cover over the top of the motor. The white switch that connects to the black switch on the front is gonna have to sit down in a hole that will hit the power switch on the motor. Once you guys have that all together, you're just going to put it into the bottom, and remember that those two nuts are sitting in there, so be real careful not to flip it upside down. You guys place the two screws into the bottom of the front cover and you'll tighten those down. Flip the clipper over and there's two screws on top of that, and you guys just tighten those down and that'll pull your two pieces together. You can see I kind of have a gap, but as you tighten these up, it's going to snug that together. And guys, if you need to pause this while you're assembling or disassembling, of course, just pause it, and then you guys can follow along when you're ready. Once all of those are tight, we're going to take the bottom sleeve, and remember guys, a little bit of paint got on the inside of this, so it's going to be extra snug. Like I said, it's a little snug because of the paint. As we tighten this bottom cover, it will snug up. Make sure you put this on the same way you took it off. It's hard to tell on here because it's black, but there's a little ring that swings that you can hang the clipper on, and that'll tell you which side needs to face up. So snug this down, we're going to put the blade back on, and we'll be all finished. So guys, if you like this video, hit a thumbs up. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think of this end result. And of course guys, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell if you haven't already. And here you go.